to me right now, other than my first book, is my 2 books on surviving abuse. There are 2 memoirs. One is Childhood Memories of Domestic Violence and how I overcame as an adult the issues that I didn't realize I had because of the household I grew up in. They manifested themselves in many different ways. One important being my first relationship as an adult was with an abuser. And how for many years after I left that relationship, I beat myself up. You know, I didn't have positive affirmations for myself. I listened to the lies of the enemies and my own low self-esteem, basically saying, how could you be so stupid? When you left home to get away from abuse, you run into the arms of an abuser. But it was because the subtitle of the book, I didn't know the signs. I saw the end result of the abuse with my mother and father, but I wasn't there in the courtship stage where the power and control took over. So the Lord blessed me to write the second book for young women and men to show them what the relationship looks like before the first punch is thrown. What that looks like. So I just want to read a little excerpt from the writing was on the wall, but I didn't know the signs. And oh yes, not my culture, and I always felt guilty about this. So I'm thank you for sharing your part of why not why, but the fact that you were bold enough to do that. Because I always beat myself up about the image I used for the front of the book, that is a Caucasian girl. But it's the only one that I could find for the budget I had for the for the cover. So I just went with it, and no one's ever verbally asked me, why is that girl white on that cover and you know you black? But I'm sure it's been in their minds because it was in mine. So I'm going to try to get over that. I'm going to try to get over that, my own hang up. So thank you for sharing that. It meant a lot. Just want to read a little bit. And then before I do, I left this relationship in 1982. I was 19. Stop at it. Don't try to figure out how old I am. But I wasn't released from the effects of the relationship until 2007. Watching my mother go through what she went through, retire from the phone company, go become certified as a domestic violence specialist, and go work at a domestic violence shelter, giving back to women, just inspired me so much that I did the same thing. And so following in her footsteps, part of the therapy was getting through, getting out of me all that abuse of childhood put in me. And so from that point forward, I've been able to advocate for young women and share through poetry and through my story that you do have to know the signs. You do have to know the signs. You'd be surprised at the statistics at how many girls, high school girls, pre-high school, even junior high school, are in or have seen abuse in girlfriend-boyfriend relationships in school. And I'm sure the educators that are here can attest to that that's one of the things in addition to bullying that's going on. So the poem that started this I wrote during one of the workshops I taught at the domestic violence shelter. He was big and dark like a teddy bear. I fell for all his lies. I didn't really think he'd hurt me, but I didn't know the signs. He showered me with affection. I was wined and I was dined. Jewelry, trips, all kinds of gifts, but I didn't know the signs.
Awareness about the issues and the shoes that they have to walk in. But more importantly, it's about helping anybody that's working with young people to create a dialogue and a very, to me, it's a beginning to a conversation that you can have after you read the book together, or if you have a problem in communicating with young people, this is an easy way to have dialogue. So I after we wrote the stories, I asked questions at the end, and again, it's really to see what would you do if you were in that situation. So so there are two stories that are personal because they are mine. So because this book is dedicated to my mom, I do want to read the one that is related to our household. And then the other thing that I did was I selected quotes. The quotes are prelude to the story that you're about to read. And then at the very end, I provided resources so that people will know how to get help about the issues that they just read about. For some of them, because it is an issue that is serious, I added statistics on that particular story so that you know how deep it is. So I'm going to read chapter 13, and the book is called Teenagers in Charge, A Blueprint to Unmasking the Greatness in You. The mask was selected because we are all wearing a mask. And I think that is important that we learn how to take the mask off and be our authentic self. And if you as an individual can't do that, you're not going to be able to help anyone else. And so that's the purpose of the mask. And it is about unmasking the greatness in you, but it starts with you. So, chapter 13. When someone you love becomes a memory, the memory becomes a treasure. Author unknown. Cancer sucks. My name is Dante, and my brother's name is Donovan. We were both in middle school when my mom was complaining about a stomachache, and then she had a high fever. My dad took her to the hospital, where she was admitted into the hospital because she was extremely ill. After several tests, the doctor called my dad and told him that something was wrong with liver and that it was bad. That afternoon, my dad was asked to come to the hospital so the doctor could explain all the details. At that time, we all knew something was wrong. When we all arrived at the hospital, the doctor asked for me and my brother to step out of the room because we were minors. My dad and the doctor were in a conference room, and it seemed like they were talking for what felt like several hours. When my dad came out, his eyes were red, and he looked like he had been crying. He sat us down and just broke down in tears. We both asked our dad what was going on, and once he got himself together, he told us that the doctor just diagnosed Mom with liver cancer. My heart sank as I busted into tears, and so did Donovan. That was one of the lowest points in our lives. We were able to see our mom, and she was in so much pain. We hated seeing her this way, but there was nothing we could do but let her know that we loved her. From that day forward, my dad took us to the hospital immediately after school every single day so that we could spend time with Mom. It was bittersweet because even though we were able to spend time with our mom, the conversations would shift as if she knew she was dying. So I guess she felt it was important for her to let us know what her expectations were in case she was no longer here. This was very tough to deal with. Can you imagine losing your mom at an early age? Well, that is exactly what happened to us. 2 weeks later, after Mom was hospitalized, she died. We were home when we received the call. This is the next worst thing that happened to me. I was beyond devastated because I did not get a chance to say goodbye.
Monster, monster, Zori called out, "Are you under my bed?" Monster, monster, Zori cried out again, "Where could you be?" Monster, monster, this is not funny. Zori finally got up and looked in her closet, but still no luck. So I'll stop there. But it's a great book. I think we don't have a lot of it's a need for more diverse books, and that's I wanted to be able to contribute to our community and do what I love to do, and that's writing. So then I wrote my And I also have a coloring book for kids to color and all that stuff. It's the same book. So I decided to do that. And then I decided, I wrote this book like shortly after that one. Books just keep popping in my head. Stories just keep going. So I wrote this book because my sister is so funny, silly, creative. And I decided to talk about her and her brothers. We're always doing something to each other, playing a prank or doing something. So I just wanted to show African American kids just having fun in a fun way. And, just family time. And I just published this, it just released September 9th. And this book, and also because your story touched me, but this book means a lot to me because it was supposed to be released early and it kept getting pushed back. And then my mom had brain surgery, so it's like a lot of stuff was going on in my life, but, throughout it all, it got done. Zuri sat on the mat and played with her cat in a hat. Mommy, oh wait. Zuri whined because her brothers took her cat. Zuri brothers teased her because she was always being a brat. Zuri ran and told them. Mommy, Zuri yelled, my brothers called me a brat. Zuri, mommy said, please stop chat. And I put that in there, and eventually my other books, my mom is always talking patois too. So it's like, I'm always I twang a lot, so I always intertwine everything. Then Zuri decided she was going to play a trick on them. Zuri went and got some toothpaste. She told her mommy her plans. Zuri and her mommy needed two things, toothpaste and Oreos. So they got some Oreos out of the kitchen cabinet, scraped the white cream off, and put toothpaste all inside instead. Zuri was so thankful for her mommy's help. This would be the best trick ever, Zuri said. She smiled and got a plate and placed it on the table. Just like that, her brothers walked over and picked up the cookie, only to realize when they took a bite, they had toothpaste all in their mouth. Zuri laughed and said, that would teach you guys to call me a brat. Zuri played with her cat Curly, only to run up the stairs and hear a splash. And I'll stop there. So I want to thank you for having me to come out. I really appreciate it because being a self-published author isn't easy. And to get your name and your book out there, and I'm very thankful